So this vlog is very long, but I just wanted to mention that it is long because I'm drawing, so hopefully you can bear with me. The finished product! Hello, Horatio! If it sounds like it's raining cats and dogs outside, it's 'cause it is raining cats and dogs outside. I don't know if I can show you. Let's find out. Sure, I'm gonna tip everything over. Everything is breaking! Yeah. You really can't see anything, can you? Well, maybe if I... Look at that.
That's beautiful outside. That's great. I can't see anything.
Anyway, it's miserable. Oh, hi, bag.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's like really crappy outside, and I'm not feeling super productive today. Anyway, I thought that I would address some things in your blog while I actually do our magical coffee mug of doom. I'm also using this as inspiration. I drew it today, and I really like it for some reason. So if I look less at the camera today, it's because that's why. Instrucciones. Before this, a shake pen and press tip repeatedly to start ink flow. That's good, right? That was fine. What is going on? I see it! Oh, that's cool! I'm such a loser. Boop. Awesome. So yeah, what I wanted to talk about in relation to your blog was the concept that designers who design around gender that aren't specifically addressing the issue of gender. So what I mean by that is the topic that you so neatly put as the majority of target audience ideals typically happens to be men. I think that that's a fair statement in video games. And that is something that is changing. But what I would like to caution against, I suppose, is this idea that we need to take back that space, resurface that space for women. Because I think that in terms of like gender politics, in terms of sexuality, in terms of looking at video games from alternative angles, there's something very problematic in envisioning an only capitalist mode of operation. As though the opposite would somehow yield different results if it were attributed to a different gender. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that we would see a lot of the same issues that come out of not just capitalism in video games, but the same ideas of like sexual preferencing, of establishing different gender roles, of taking away power. Things like that would become problematic issues for gamers in general and for a community which should, instead of striving to become gender-based, should instead be experientially based. And I was talking with someone, his name is Cameron Kunselman. He makes some of the best games, and he's also a theorist and a philosopher and someone I admire as well. And he was talking about this recently in terms of, oh my god, that's cat. Hi, Beans. In terms of how things like this occur, how tropes in video games, how different video games capitulate on the same ideas over and over and over again, and as that being particularly problematic. So for example, we were talking about video games related to horror and survival again, which I just can't seem to get enough of these days, and how they're all pretty much like playing the same thing. Now this is something that I hadn't really thought about, and when Cameron suggested, I was really sort of taken aback by how truthful it was, that most horror and survival video games take advantage of depriving their audience of things And then making sure that a lot of the strategies of manipulation, success, and so on are relegated to basically the same types of game and game mechanics every time. So there's very little development there, and it's kind of like I played like 3 of them stacked side by side yesterday, which totally messed with my brain. Don't recommend it ever. I played Penumbra. Penumbra is mean because they tell you that it's a problem-solving game, and then they ask you to kill all the things, and all the things are evil and really hard to kill. Do not appreciate. Anyway, so I played that. I played Lasting, which is an indie game, which is fantastic, and everybody should check it out. That was recommended to me by Pip and Bar, actually. And then I played Lone Survivor, which was effing terrifying for no reason, but I think other than the fact that I had already played so many games at that point that there was no way for me to enjoy anything outside of the Oga. Hey! Outside of the realm of horror. But this also made me think about what you were talking about in terms of the problems with thinking about gender essentialism and game essentialism and the capacity for gamers and video game creators to develop beyond the traditional myths and models that are already in place. I think it's really important and sort of staggering that an indie game that has virtually no budget, if at all, and one creator, if that, is able to constitute the same level of fear, titillation, and pleasure that we would get out of something as comprehensive and narrative-based as something like Amnesia. Or even more interestingly, something like, let's say, Silent Hill, Cat, and so on. And I'm really interested in what that means. Oh no, Beans is sitting on my. Oh, there she goes. Okay, good. She was sitting on my drawing, and I was like, I can't see what I'm doing yet. Oh God! Wow. I'm gonna edit the crap out of this. That's what's gonna happen. So yeah, so I thought that was a really interesting stride. But it again, and Cameron mentioned this, and I think that this is what was really critical here, was that rather than regurgitating the same sort of key tropes, the same problems that occur, the same modes of pleasure and titillation, a lot of these sort of horror games, for example, just as a genre, should be taking advantage of different elements in order to improve upon a system that doesn't need to be capitalized upon the same things. Oh God, that cat is gonna ruin everything. And that's sort of where I want to leave that particular debate. There's just something really ugly about creating games for target market's sake, for improving upon video game selection and the ability for women to play solely because it would be a way of sort of equalizing the playing field. I think it would be more interesting to see what happens when these games when the games take on a more formidable, or, if you'll excuse the pun, a different life of their own, something that's not driven specifically by male models of form and play, or even by the sort of normative values of capitalism and what it means to capitalize on gamers and how these sort of things play out. And that's sort of my take on that. I'm sorry, I'm like not even a little bit close to being done here, which is kind of interesting.